Namo Phat. Thank you for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This wonderful sound calls us back to our true home. The second mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I vow to cultivate loving kindness and learn ways to work for the well-being of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I will practice generosity by sharing my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in real need. I'm determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others. I will respect the property of others, but I will prevent others from profiting from human suffering or the suffering of other species on earth. For our Dharma lessons, we've been reading Ajahn Munindo's book, Unexpected Freedom. Today we're continuing a chapter on, and how should I let go, with a section on taking responsibility for our suffering. When we do eventually get around to opening up to ourselves, it's like opening a door to a room we haven't been in for a very long time. And it can smell really bad. I mean, really bad. We just don't want to go in there. But, it's a room in our house, and it's only a matter of time before some guest comes along and decides to take a look. Then we will have a problem. The reality is that we already have a problem. We are just not aware of it. Although it smells bad, we've got to trust that the only reason it does so is because it has not been aired out for a long time. When we first open up the doors and windows and see the filth and the mess, it looks like a huge task that we've got ahead of us. It can feel like it's just too much. The reason it feels that way is that we've put so much energy into avoiding something for a long time. So we have to be very careful not to assume that the way it looks is how it really is. It can be daunting when we start to open up some of these rooms and get to discover dimensions of ourselves that we were not expecting to find. As meditation deepens, we start to see aspects of ourselves that we never even suspected were there. Or sometimes just with getting a little older or being under some kind of pressure, external pressures or pressure of health, we get in touch with things we vaguely sensed were there, but never really saw the extent of. We think, my goodness, how am I going to deal with this? Again, we need to consider that the reason it seems so much is that we've put so much energy into avoiding it. Under such circumstances, it is necessary to be very patient because sometimes we have to endure a lot for a long time before some of this momentum can be worn out. The momentum of clinging has created the apparent reality of, this is too much. I can't cope with this, and I won't ever be able to let go of this. Well, don't be too sure. Letting go will happen. Try to consider that letting go is something that happens. It is not something that we do. What is called for in practice is a willingness to bear with things, to be honest with ourselves, and to wait until these things start to fall away of their own accord. We don't have to get rid of these things. These things will fall away when we see the reality, when we see that we're doing the suffering. When we see that we're the ones that are actually creating this pain, then automatically we will stop doing it. But before we get to that point of seeing it, we sometimes have to bear with suffering for quite a long while and wear out, literally wear out or burn out the momentum of avoidance or denial or the habit of indulgence. Whatever the accumulated momentum is, We've got to endure it until one day, much to our surprise, we're still doing the same old practice that we've been doing for goodness knows how long. But when up comes the trigger, we see it differently. When some sort of temptation to get angry, greedy, or afraid arises, suddenly we see it in a way whereby it doesn't get us. We aren't fooled by it. It's as though we have acquired a new ability. It is not that we've done anything different to make it appear differently. It is simply that the comic momentum has worn out. Though it might seem like a large heap of firewood will burn on, there will come a point when there is no more fuel, and the fire will go out. Until we've been through such an experience, we are not familiar with the dynamics of this process as it is happening within us. As a result, we can be deceived by the apparent enormity of the problem. This is where good friends who have walked the path a little longer or a little further can wisely and sensibly point out, just wait a while before you decide you're doing the wrong thing. Stay with it for a while, and perhaps it will change. Of course, it does change in time. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Namo. Thanks so much for joining me today.